What's up everyone, Talon from the Airsoft headquarters here and welcome back. Today we have the actual review video of the Avalon series Calibur PDW 2. Now this is very unique because this is going to be one of the newest rifles to my personal collection, as well as one of the newest rifle systems from the Avalon series from Elite Force. Now just to go right off the bat, this was not formally introduced or officially introduced due to the lack of SHOT Show 2021. So it did not get nearly as much hype as most Avalon rifles tend to get. And like I said, being one of the newest rifles from the Avalon series, we are more than happy to help introduce these rifle systems into the market. Now, for anyone that maybe is a first time here to the channel, we 100% back and love the Avalon series of rifle systems. In our personal experiences, these do retain less than a 1% defect rate as far as selling them to the general consumer populace. For myself personally, being a player of 8 total years, half of my collection is KWA, the other half is Avalon. So both really great brands. The Avalon systems overall, really love them because they are going to be a higher end of straight out of the box performing rifle systems, internally and externally. And we are going to be able to go over that here right now. First off, let's go over the name. Most of the Avalon series of rifles are going to be utilizing a couple of different terms in reference to swords or cutlasses, stuff like that, within the real world. So we have the Avalon Gladius, which is a type of sword that is going to be a different style of Avalon rifle. There's also the Saber, or a Saber sword, and the Saber Avalon rifles are going to be a different series as well. And then we have the Caliburs, which Calibur is kind of short for Excalibur, but they couldn't call it Excalibur because that can be confused with another sword name. So they called it Calibur, not to be confused with the actual BER ending of caliber, which refers to, a bullet. It is in reference to Excalibur, or the sword series, which are not going to be a type of traditional of M4 style of rifle. So everyone should be clear on that. Now, right off the bat, I do have some generic information about it. At the shortest length, it comes in at 19.5 inches, and with the stock fully extended, it does extend out to 23.75 of an inch for total length. It comes in about 5 pounds, 6.3 ounces. It has roughly a 6.5 inch brass inner barrel, which is going to come at a 6.03 tight bore inner barrel with a deep bevel cut, and we will be talking about that. It does have around a 5.5 inch of outer barrel, with the amplifier orange tip taking up an extra 3.5 inches. It is going to be a Avalon style of gearbox, which does come with a quick change gearbox, but it's not a true quick change. You still need to disassemble the gearbox away from the lower receiver, which most people are not going to tell you as far as advertising. So I'm going to save you a couple of minutes as far as struggling, figuring out where that spring is going to come out. It is going to have a muzzle velocity of 371 to 377 feet per second with 0.20 gram BBs, which is very clean coming from that short length of inner barrel. Unfortunately, we did see some fluctuations with some of those BBs dropping down to about 320 feet per second. Out of a total of maybe 50 total shots, only 6 or 7 of those shots dropped down to that lower velocity. One of the reasons that we do think it would be shooting or have that immediate fluctuation could be a sign of mid-cap syndrome. I was testing with a PTS EPM magazine, or it could be with the type of battery we were utilizing. It could have been slightly overcycling that gearbox, which could shorten the overall length of compression for that volume of air to push the BB out of that inner barrel. So those are two reasons as to why it could have dropped down to below 350. And as far as total rounds a second with the type of battery that we were using, which is a Lancer Tactical 11.1 volt 20C discharge for 24 rounds a second. Obviously, if you still use an 11.1 with a 30C discharge rating, you could get a faster trigger response, But with that high of an energy discharge, you could possibly start blowing some fuses, which is not something that anyone would want on the field. One of the other things that we're going to get to immediately as well, because I know that a lot of people are going to be looking for this information, is the overall accuracy testing. Now, this is not done in any type of professional setting as far as stabilizing any of the rifle systems, just shooting standing from the shoulder at 25 total feet using 5 total rounds with 0.20 gram BBs at a headshot, maybe a 6-inch grouping, kicking it out to 50 feet, taking it another 5 shots, grouping size of up to 8 inches in length as far as the spread. Still very, very good with 0.20 gram BBs, and then knocking this out to 100 feet, taking another 5 shots with 0.20 gram BBs. We did have 4 of the 5 actually impact the silhouette of the target, but all 5 shots hit the paper, which is phenomenal. Compared to some of the other rifle systems that, or pistols that we have taken down to the arena to test shoot for accuracy, even with longer length of inner barrels, utilizing heavier weight of BBs, this Avalon system with the short of inner barrel that it has, as well as utilizing the lightest weight of BB of 0.20, it is phenomenal and shocking that it is this accurate. So, just so you guys are aware, those are the specs. That is the accuracy. Let's actually get into looking at the rifle system from tip to butt. Starting off, we are looking at the tip with the federally mandated orange tip, which is going to be all metal, and it is going to be a cone or an amplifier style of muzzle device, which is very, very, very deep. Paired with the bevel of the inner barrel, it does act as a awesome popping sound. Now, if you guys have not seen any of the gameplay, I would suggest checking it out. It is going to be up here, tagged for you guys to go and check it out, or link in the description below if you are making it to the very end of the video. So awesome, awesome sound coming from it. Very, very loud, very poppy. Paired with the fast trigger response, it is more of a psychological effect when utilized properly against other players. I was doing some type of guerrilla style of warfare as far as shooting, moving, shooting, moving, shooting, moving, kind of making myself as loud of a area target as possible. So when people are moving around in the brush, as far as the guys that were protecting the objective, they were all mainly looking my direction, trying to identify where I was inside of the brush, which did allow a flanking group to get those defenders out of that objective area so we could capture the target. So that was utilized in some of the gameplay. So really cool. A lot of people tell me to, or have told me to remove it. For this one, I am not going to, but for anyone that is looking to remove this orange tip, because it is very large, it is very bright, on the underneath here, there is going to be a slot that you can get a small Allen screw inside of. Now, do beware, there is going to be an excessive amount of glue protecting this orange tip. Do not put this in boiling water. I cannot tell enough people this fact. Don't put your orange tip or any part of your rifle inside of boiling water or anywhere near water. If that steam or that water does get inside of that gearbox, it is going to swell, break down those O-rings, and even if you remove that upper, remove that inner barrel, all of that steam and all of that water can get into those cracks and crevices underneath that Cerakote and start to wear down that nice Cerakote finish. So I do not suggest doing that at all. Instead, either just leave it until the warranty period is expired, or be very, very careful and utilize some type of electrical torch in order to melt that glue. It is going to be a timely project, so do be aware of that, and utilizing an electric torch specifically, similar to a hair dryer, in order to heat that glue up underneath and twist it off utilizing some type of shop glove. That is going to be the best way that I would suggest removing this orange tip, but that is not a service we can do here at the Airsoft headquarters, just a heads up. Ah, God, people keep fucking up their orange tips with boiling them. Anyway, from the orange tip, we do have that 5.5-inch outer barrel, which is super, super, super short. And for what we currently have, it is going to be one of the shortest inner barrels that we actually have from an AEG rifle system. So pretty awesome that we are getting some effective range and accuracy with a very, very light BB out at, you know, distances that we would not expect at all. So phenomenal that they do have great performance there. This is going to be coming with a M-LOK rail system. Now this is going to be a 7-inch rail system. It does have M-LOK on the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock position. It does have 2.5 slots on each individual side. The very top is going to be all Picatinny. What I have on the bottom of my rail system is going to be an M-LOK to Picatinny rail adapter, as well as a M-LOK direct attach short vert grip that I do utilize more as a vertical grip compared to a hand stop style. And I'll talk about that later. There is going to be a large screw that, again, to my knowledge, is going to have some glue on the inside there. So if you do want to remove it, change it out, do be aware that you need to heat that up as well and utilize the correct sizing of Allen screw in order to get that out to remove your barrel system. Again, that is another thing that people tend to mess up on other rifle systems. The rail system does utilize a nicer finish of Cerakote. It doesn't utilize that speckle shine that the receiver utilizes. It is going to be more of a matte style of bronze. But going back to that receiver, it does have that speckle finish, which is a little weird, a little off-putting. I do wish that they did pair them a little bit closer, but that is a little bit more nitty-picky as far as my personal suggestion. They are utilizing an all-metal receiver system as well as a barrel system, so that is very, very, very nice. And rail system as well, I should make mention of that, which is awesome. On the top of that rail system is traditionally a flip-up front and rear iron sight. I have removed that front sight just so I could put my zoom camera on there in order to, you know, supposedly utilize my zoom camera to see where those beams are going. Unfortunately, the one time that I did take this out to go and play outdoors with, it was raining, so I wasn't able to utilize my zoom camera, but still was able to put this through the ringer within a rain environment. So great job on that we got amazing results. What is unique about the Calibur system is that it does utilize a 416 clone style of receiver, which means from the top rail system, there is an extra 1/4 inch of rail system. As far as from the base, there's a rise, and then there is a higher level of that top Picatinny rail system, which means there is a type of built-in riser system, which should help elevate those optic systems in order to better utilize them with full face masks or lower face mesh, whatever have you. But that is not intentionally why they put the riser system on there. It is just one of the side effects. The actual riser receiver system is more commonly utilized with real firearms, but because Airsoft likes to mimic real firearms, they just included that raised receiver system. The receiver system overall, clean, awesome finish. And again, it is going to closely mirror that of the 416 style receiver that we're previously utilizing. So they do have a bolt release protector system here, and it's just your basic normal M4 of receiver system. Pretty basic as far as the layout, but you do have your imitation bolt release, which if you pull that charging handle back, that bolt does retain open. I like that feature a lot. That does make it easy in order to make those adjustments. And then again, in the rain, wanting to protect my internals, I can pretty easily slap that closed. Some of the more basic of rifle systems, you do need to pull that charging handle all the way back, make those adjustments, and then release it. But having that imitation bolt release is just one of those cool factors and convenient factors to where I can pull back, make adjustments, and release while using only one hand. Pretty awesome there. Ambidextrous and enlarged ambidextrous magazine release. So you have the left-hand side, which is a standard size for that left-hand side of receiver system, but the right-hand side is going to be a very, very large button, which does make it pretty easy for people that are utilizing gloves. Just makes it easier overall. Ambi selector switch a lightning bolt profile of trigger system. It is going to be a flat face, but that doesn't mean it's a speed trigger. It does still have a normal length of pull. A QRS enhanced trigger guard on the bottom here. So there is serrations and slots for you to put your finger, your trigger finger, if you are in a safe area in order to keep that trigger off the finger. You've got that pad there. The QRS grip, I personally like. It does have that beaver tail there, and it does have a softer stippling effect. What I have noticed is that this one seems to be a different model of grip system. It seems to me, and I don't have actual backing for this, but it seems to me that the actual front face of the QRS grip is flatter compared to previous QRS grips. And it does have a stronger 45 on the side there. So overall, it just feels boxier on the front end, which I don't mind. I usually prefer the smoother PTS ones, but I don't hate this QRS one. Just a fun fact for you guys. Going back, there is going to be a newer Crusader type of charging bolt handle, which this is going to be an ambidextrous style as well. So you do, or if you want to, on the left-hand side, you know, that's where most people grab it. On the front face, pull that down in order to pull the charging handle all the way back, and it's going to spring back forward. Or on the left-hand side, if you're left-handed, you need to press the back end of that charging handle in order to pull it back. But it is going to be ambidextrous. Cool feature. Doesn't actually do anything as far as functionality on the Airsoft models, but cool that ambi is available for those that are going to be left and right-handed. So anyone that is left-handed that wants to make adjustments to their hop-up unit, they can utilize their right hand, their non-dominant hand, pull that charging handle back, hold that imitation bolt carrier group open, make those adjustments with their pointer finger, but they do need to reach over and hit that imitation bolt release. The bolt release is not ambidextrous, but again, it's not something that's being utilized for actual functionality, just some of those minor stuff like adjusting the hop-up unit. Quick thing, the dust cover here is going to be polymer, which I personally enjoy more. The dust cover itself has zero functionality other than just to stay closed. Even if that does pop open, you do have that imitation bolt carrier group that is actually a shell, not an actual bolt carrier group. So that still is going to protect the internals from any type of dust, debris, rain. So even if that dust cover does shatter, break, fall off, holds open, stuff like that, you do have a second layer there. And it does make it a little bit more cost effective and easier for people to replace if anything does go bad on these later on. Functioning forward charging, a functioning forward assist button that again has no functionality with an Airsoft, but it does press in. On certain brands, hitting that bolt release is going to release some of that tension on some of those internal mechanical parts. That does not have a feature here on the Avalon Gearbox or Avalon series of rifle systems. So going back, we do have the VFC PDW style of stock, which has a unique feature, and that is that it is spring assisted. Hitting that tension release is going to help spring that stock all the way backwards. However, you do need to rest against something in order to pull that tab or press in that tab in order to put that stock in the forwardmost position. Forward, it's small. It is small as heck, but then it does extend out just a little bit. Now for me personally, with this stock all the way out, it's not super comfortable for me to actually keep my elbows in a position that I normally would. A lot of times I would, in game, accidentally start to grab the muzzle end of the rifle system just because that's how I like my barrels, a little bit longer. However, it's not the case, so I do need to grab all the way down here. Usually I don't like to do a straight vert grip. I do prefer to do a thumb over bore style. However, in order to keep my elbows all the way tucked in, I do need to do a full vertical grab, which Not my preferred, and that's just what happens with shorter PDW style of rifles. You just have a shorter barrel, so you have to make those adjustments to your body. Now, inside of the actual battery compartment space, there is going to be a short end cap, and then inside the box, which is not something I normally see, there is a battery extension unit option, which means that would take the place of the standard short one and sits like that. So instead of the stock going all the way flat, you kind of now have a mid position, but you still have that full length capability. So really awesome on VFC's part and Avalon's part in order to have that battery extension unit. A lot of people would prefer to go with that. I actually did not know that the battery extension unit comes with it. So what I did is I bought the Airtech Studios BEU battery extension unit. And what that does is that sits in the middle. So you take your normal end cap, and again, normally there's not a battery extension unit that already comes in the box. This would sit inside of here, and then the red part then would sit in the middle. So now you have a battery extension unit. The wires are getting in the way, which again, you still have the option to run the stock in the middle position, and then it does pop all the way out. Again, didn't know that there was the extended battery unit inside of there, so I ordered the red extension unit from Airtech Studios. There is no option to actually remove the entire butt pad of the stock system in order to have access to that battery compartment space. You do need to make do with what you have, which is pull that wiring system out, which features that inline MOSFET with the fuse system, pull the wires out of the way, slide that battery into space, and then work your magic to put that battery extension unit on and in place so the wires are not exposed. There is a option that I have figured out, which I have not been able to find anywhere else in order to tell me how to fully disassemble that stock, which is absolutely necessary if you do want to do a full disassembly. So normally on these PDW style of stocks, if you press in or pull down, normally you have the option to pull that stock all the way off as long as you're holding that down. However, holding it down like this or pulling it out like this, there is no option. There is a small little Allen screw here that you need to undo, but again, if you undo that and hold all of the buttons down, the stock is not going to come out. The trick that I have found is there is on the right-hand side of the rifle, so on the part where that forward assist is, there is a small hole on this part right here. So you need to line that small hole up towards the back of the receiver. You then take a pin punch and you punch a small moon clamp or a moon pin or C pin, whatever have you, push that out with that pin punch, and then that is going to release the internal spring that is inside of this metal tube, and that will allow you to pull that stock all the way off. So you are losing overall tension on that stock system, but that is the way in order to take it all the way off in order to get access to that buffer screw, or not the buffer screw, the AEG spring guide rod. I have also found that if you utilize a small Allen screw, you can get inside of there, loosen it up. However, it is very, very tight directly out of the factory. So be aware of that. I have listed those for you guys to check out. Internally, there are going to be a couple of awesome features with this system as well. First of all, it's an Avalon style of gearbox, which again, in our experiences here, we have phenomenal luck with. I mean, they outperform nearly everything else directly out of the box, which is why we love them so much. Avalon style gearboxes get an A+++ in my personal review. There are some other people that will say otherwise, and they have their own personal reasons, right? take it for what it's worth. With that Avalon style of gearboxes, you do get some pre-upgraded parts, such as an inline style of MOSFET unit, which can take those larger energy discharge ratings, some higher end of internal parts, obviously nothing super awesome name brand. One of the things that it does come with is a half rack style of piston with a more basic piston head. Now, embarrassingly, I did disassemble one of the Avalon gearboxes completely in order to show that normally the piston heads are something that need to be replaced, but it did give me a completely perfect seal compression. So take that for what it's worth as well. It worked the one time it wasn't supposed to work, so it works phenomenally in my stuff. I leave all of my air seal components mostly stock. Some of my older Avalons do have some upgraded piston heads, but having done the video where that was a full perfect seal, don't change anything on my Avalons anymore. I just run them stock and love them. It has a polymer rotary style of hop-up unit. Rotary hop-up units just allow you to be a little bit more consistent, a little bit more precise, and are not going to work themselves out of that setting. So you do have full custom adjustment there. Now, connected to that hop-up unit is going to be a 6.5 inch 6.03 tight bore brass inner barrel. Now, what's unique about this is that it does have a deeper bevel cut onto the front face of that inner barrel. That does allow for a little bit more precise of a air volume distribution behind that BB as it leaves that inner barrel. It also creates a deeper sound effect. So normally with deeper cuts, that does allow a quieter sound effect. However, in conjunction with this cone amplifier, that quiet cut bevel doesn't do anything, right? It's loud as shit at that point. As soon as that BB passes through, it sounds like a duck, in all honesty. It's got a weird quack sound effect to it. It's really, really cool. I'm gonna keep it bright orange as I can. I'm not gonna change this orange tip for anything. I'm just gonna leave it as is. So what I learned directly out of the box with this system pretty quickly is that there are extremely limited sling options available. There are these little cuts on the actual stock system itself, but the actual loop side of these stock or these sling systems are just so thick I can't get a clip through there. So what I ended up doing is taking some 550 cord, some paracord, looping that through that slot, and then hooking my sling clip to that paracord loop and using that to dangle my rifle system. Some people can do a 2-point sling system, but there's no type of quick detach or preset sling mount system already on this rifle. So you do need to make do with what you have and make adjustments. Another thing that I have noticed while playing with this system is that that stock system does sit lower in conjunction with that raised rail system. It's not the stock that sits lower, it's the fact that the optics sit a little higher. So what I've done, because I do wear some cloth face masks that do tend to be a little thicker, protect the sensitive beard, is that the stock system actually needs to sit a little lower. So part of that issue is going to come down to the fact that there is a very small pad on the actual stock system, which does not, correlate to where I normally plant a stock into my shoulder. So normally a stock goes here and then I can come down, and then, it's a little uncomfortable because I am used to that, to positioning that lower position of the stock. So what tends to happen is I will come up and then I need to drop my head down a little bit more in order to work with even the optic on a riser system. So that is like a 1-inch rise on there. So there is going to be some adjustment or some issue as far as finding that good optic alignment system for you personally, and that is something you do need to figure out for yourself. Like I said before, one of the points that I was testing with this rifle system is using it in a rain environment. Normally, we do not suggest utilizing your rifle systems or anything airsoft related in a rain environment. However, it was a good opportunity to test the physical limits of the rifle system, make sure that it held up, stuff like that. Unfortunately, if there are any type of areas on the rifle that are unfinished as far as that Cerakote, there can be blemishes. One of the weird spots that I found those blemishes was on the inside of the stock system towards the very back of that lower receiver. Some rain did fall inside of there while I was installing the battery as well as taking it out at the end of the day. So there are some blemishes inside of there that were not there previously. So that is some of the effects that rain can do. It also can start the rusting process and can just start to break down some of those pins and bolts on your rifle system, which is not a good sign. Always take care of your stuff. Put it in a dry environment. If you do play in the rain, normally suggest picking up some of those silica gel packets and throwing them into your gun bag just to help soak up any of that moisture that could have accumulated, you know, inside of those receiver systems or even inside of the gearbox. So pro tip right there. Inside of the box, there is going to be a QRS mid-cap style of magazine that is going to come with the rifle system. However, I am a huge fan of the PTS mid-caps, so I was utilizing the EPM for the entire duration. In fact, I don't even know where my QRS magazine went. It's somewhere in my stuff. So that's how much I prefer the PTS EPMs, and overall got phenomenal performance utilizing this. For the day, I did utilize 0.2s, 0.25s, 0.28s, and 3.0s. I didn't actually utilize the 2.8s or 3.0s, but I did bring them in order to do a testing as far as accuracy, consistency. But I started the day with 2.0s, eventually swapped to 2.5s once I ran out of my magazines of 2.0s. Ran the 2.5s for only a couple of magazines. Then I said the 2.5s aren't getting the distance or the accuracy that I preferred with the 2.0s, because the 2.0s were ranging about 200 plus feet that I could accurately get shots on. Unfortunately, I wasn't running the zoom camera that day, so you will have to take my word for it. The longest distance that I can roughly guesstimate that I can get this rifle out to was around 240, and that was shooting up and over some of the building systems in order to target some of the players that were coming out of a spawn environment. It was an attack, it was a attack and defend with the player having unlimited lives, so just let them go back to spawn. So I didn't continually bombard them, but I just wanted to see for that short little clip if I could in fact range it out that far. And again, don't have the zoom or did not have the zoom camera on there, so I can't pull any of that footage up. But accurately, around 150, 180 feet, you know, overall a little bit larger of a distribution just with those 0.20s. Even in the rain, I really like the performance of the 2.0s. Again, going up to the 2.5s, I just lost a lot of distance and really didn't like that. I was getting phenomenal performance, distance, as well as accuracy shooting through some of those tighter windows at action sports, and was getting good hits. Overall, had a lot of fun with the 2.0s inside of here. And so that's what this guy prefers. So I'm going to continue to run 2.0s through here. So the Avalon Calibur PDW2 is going to get a glowing review from me. Having utilized it as well as tested it here in the store and out on the field, this is one of my top favorites in my collection thus far. It performed great, you know, directly out of the box, no upgrades at all. I get tired of working on everyone else's guns, so I just want to plug a battery into my stuff and just go. So great overall performance directly out of the box. Great overall trigger response, great accuracy, great consistency. I'm not going to change anything. Overall, great performance, and I highly suggest the Avalon Calibur PDW2 for anyone that may be looking to get a great gun directly out of the box at a higher price point, right? Once you start getting into looking at metal receivers, with some of the upgrades that a lot of people typically go for, you are looking at spending over $400 anyway. So maybe just if you are looking at a lower budget, higher performing rifle system, look no further than the Avalon series rifle systems. They always get my suggestion, and I still get and see great performance here in the store. So we have these here in the store, and again, they didn't get a great showcase just due to the fact that there was no SHOT Shows, but we did sell out of all of our Calibur 2s once we did order them. So we are waiting for the next batch, and we will be bringing more of these in. So that is it. A 10 out of 10 in my personal opinion. You guys can let me know down in the comment section below, but what you think, some of the pros, some of the cons, or if you guys have any further questions, put them down in the comment section below. I'll do my very best to answer them. But we're all done here. So you guys take care, stay safe, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.